Okay, I'm going to show you some of my favorite mobilizations on the foam roll. There are a lot of different ways you can mobilize your body on this. So if you have questions about other areas or other body parts, just let me know. But I am going to show you some of my favorites that I do on myself and that I teach people the most often. So one of them is we are going to mobilize our mid-back, our thoracic spine. So we're going to lay perpendicular on the roller. Okay, so you're going to expose your back muscles. So we're working on those muscles that run up and down that middle of your spine. If this bothers your neck, you can always have your hands up supporting your head. But I like to have mine here because my neck is okay with it and it exposes the muscles a little bit. So then you're just going to slowly roll and I don't like to roll the whole back at once because then you just lose the effects, you lose the form. But if you kind of like get on a tight spot and just slowly roll, and then you're going to move a little bit to a different section and slowly roll. And of course you can get up towards your neck a little more. You just have to raise your butt. So you'll find your angles as you're doing it. Whoops, I got my hair. There is no perfect way to do this. It's whatever feels good to you. You can lean a little to the left and then roll along that left shoulder blade, that inner border of the shoulder blade. That feels really good. And of course, do the right side. Just find your spots. Then the next thing you can do is drop your bum down and now support your head and find a segment of your spine that might feel a little tight, and then you're going to let your body just arch over it. Maybe you want your arms tucked in, maybe you want them out. It just changes the angles a little bit, so find what feels good and just let your body arch and breathe. Maybe you get some pop-pops, maybe you just release a little and just hold it as long as feels good for you. And then come down and do a different section. And now think about your low back here. Make sure you're keeping your pelvis tucked a little bit so your low back just isn't arched up, because that will change the angle of the stretch. So just keep your low back down and just let yourself arch over that roll. And just do your different segments. You can move around, whatever feels good to you. But that's a great way to stretch, especially because a lot of things put us in that forward position. So take some time here, longer than I'm taking to show you. Another area that you might find some tightness is if you come up a little more on it and kind of be supported this way. So right below your rib cage, these muscles in here are often tight. It's hard to roll out your low back, but you can get right under your rib cage here and then tuck your pelvis to open those muscles and then just shift to the left. So right there, I've got a good little trigger point there. This one's not a rolling one. This one's just finding a tight spot and breathing through it. And just kind of stretching around it. Keep your pubic bone tucked so you're pulling your low back muscles over that roller. And the other side, change your angle maybe. Good, I like that one. Okay, so now we are going to stretch out your hip flexors in the front. So if you come down, and then you're going to get the roller underneath your bum, and you'll find the right angle as you try this. It's going to be somewhere under your hips, but you want to feel very supported as you bring your one leg up and let the other leg go straight. And try to keep your foot and your knee pointed up toward the ceiling. Don't let it roll out to the side, which it will do when it's tight through the hip flexor. We want to get that pure front of the hip stretch. Sometimes it helps to take this other leg out to the side a little bit, so then you're kind of pulling your pelvis that way. Then you can get a really good stretch through there. And just relax. The more you pull this up, the more stretch you're going to feel. And as with any stretch, you want those opposing forces. So we're pulling up, our low back our pelvis is being tucked a little bit. This knee is helping, this bent knee. The other one, I'm pushing my heel toward the wall that way. So I'm stretching around this joint. And I'm just trying to keep that opposition as I breathe. Good. And of course, you can do the other side. And again, take more time than I'm doing here for demonstration. You could take as much time as you want on this. When you find your spots, when you find tightnesses, it's good to just be able to move very slowly. Even when you're rolling, move very slowly and just breathe through it. And that will more effectively release your muscles. Okay, so that's the hip flexor. Sometimes, especially if you have any pelvic health stuff going on, sometimes it feels really good just to relax here for a moment. Just hips higher than shoulders and just let everything chill and just open up. Your low back drop toward the ground. But that, and you just breathe. Close your eyes. That's kind of a meditative, restorative pose. So just FYI. Okay, I'll take the foam roller out. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the thoracic spine as well. So we're gonna use it this way, and we're gonna come onto hands and knees. This is called threading the needle. So we're just gonna use that foam roll. You could do this without the foam roll too, but since it's here, it's a nice thing to show you. But the pinky side of your arm, you just roll out and come under the other arm. Trying to keep your hips toward the opposite side. Don't let the hips slide with you. Keep them towards the opposite side. So you're just stretching. And you don't even have to roll on this. I mean, maybe just minuscule rolls if you want to. I just like to hold it. And breathe. And find like, ooh, if I tuck my pelvis a little bit, that changes the stretch. If I move my pelvis to the left, that changes the stretch. If I push through my right hand. So find what feels good in your body. Okay? But you would breathe there for a few minutes. And then the other side. So this side, I'm not nearly as tight on. You'll notice some asymmetries as you go. And I find if I tuck my pelvis, so my pubic bone, a little bit knitted in through the front, through the inner core, it changes the stretch in a good way, rather than just being arched, okay? All right, so that's that one. Another great one to do is for your lats. So right in through here. Posture affects this area. Nursing, shoulder problems, rotator cuff issues, but it feels terribly good. This one is a little bit aggressive, but in a good way, but you'll definitely feel it. But so you get that foam roll right at that soft part, kind of on this side of your shoulder blade, not right along the bones, but right in here. And then you're stretching your arm over it. You'll find the spots. And again, we're not really rolling. We're just kind of moving, and this hand can help so you don't slide. We're moving ever so slowly over those muscles to stretch them around the foam roll. You can even pause when you find a spot that's tight and just roll slightly backward on it, slightly forward. So again, you just kind of choose your own adventure, find the good spots. You're not going to hurt yourself because you wouldn't push through any kind of pain that could actually hurt you. Just nice and gentle. You can even, sometimes people who do have rotator cuff issues, if you find, so I'm kind of right here on my shoulder blade, this muscular spot between my shoulder and my shoulder blade. So if you find a point there, which I do have a nice tight spot right there, and then you can just rotate around it. Sometimes that feels really good, opening and closing, okay? So just play around. This one is important to note. If you get tingling in your fingers or pain shooting down your arm, don't do this and talk to someone, some sort of physical therapist or your doctor about that, or just get the pressure off. Because you do have a lot of nerves in your armpit. You're not rolling in your armpit. You're on these muscles, this like big muscle system in the back, okay? Okay, so that one. And then I'm gonna show you just two for your legs that are my favorites. So a lot of my clients who have some inner core stuff going on or pelvic health issues, inner thighs tend to get really tight because they are overcompensators. So this one just feels nice even just to be here, but you can get that foam roll on that inner thigh And again, just slowly roll it all the way up to where your inner thigh kind of intersects up there on the inside of your hip. And it's a good way to get up high in that muscle. So that's usually a point of tenderness and tension. But of course, as you come down, you might feel something in here. You might even feel something all the way into your knee. Sometimes we have some tightness on the inner thigh where it inserts into the knee. So again, you find your things. But I find the foam roll pretty effective on that upper part, the proximal part of that muscle. So that's the way to do those. And then, can't do a foam roll series without showing you the classic. This is usually, if people have foam rolls, this is usually the reason why. Because you're a runner and you've got tightness in that IT bands down the side. But now, I do not like seeing people go extremely fast with this because again, you're not really giving, the purpose of the foam roll is to be like a massage. If I was massaging this part of someone's leg, I would be pushing really hard and moving very slowly to try to release that muscle and bring blood flow into that muscle. So that's what you do with the foam roll. That will be more effective than rolling really quickly. So again, you can do little sections at a time, which is also usually more effective, and just kind of up and down, nice and slowly. You can bias it by leaning a little bit forward. I'm a little tighter on that front border, so you could play around with that. Or maybe you can lean a little back and you've got some trigger points in there. And then you move and you come to a different portion of the muscle. And I just realized I might be cutting off my head in my video, but you get the idea. You should only be looking at my leg anyway. That's what matters. Okay, and then all the way down to, you don't want to cross the knee joint, but it comes in and inserts right on the side of that knee. So you can get all the way down toward your knee, and maybe you've got a tight spot in there. Usually they form mid, like right in there, I've got a pretty tight spot, or up higher. So just go nice and slow. Maybe even just find a spot and chill, because sometimes, again, this is a more aggressive one. We don't want your muscles tightening up because they feel, under pressure, in pain. So we're creating just as much as you can tolerate. Don't push the envelope at all. And you can come all the way up to the top. And again, don't really cross over the hip bone a lot, right up here, because you could create some irritation there, but you can go right up to it. Or if you cross it, then you can play around up in the higher portion. Okay, woo, that's some work to hold you up too. But I hope you enjoy those. Have some fun. Reach out if you have any questions about any other part of your body.